And for more on this, I'm joined by Emel Topcua. She's a lecturer at Hassan Kalyoncu University, and by Hassan Imran. He's the director of Asia Middle East Forum based in Istanbul. Thank you so much for both of you for being here. Let's begin with you, Hassan. It's not like Israel has stopped tourism from Muslim countries, have they? They still allow tourists to visit the occupied territories, visit occupied East Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa compound.
It's not that simple. Since the very beginning of the establishment of Israel, it worked very hard to gain Muslim recognition all over the world. Tourism was one means. Like they tried to get the recognition through the Muslim tourists, normalize the relations, give them a positive image about Israel, engineer their opinion, quote unquote, to give a positive image. Yet, that was not the case for everyone. Anyone who would have, participated or who would support the people of Jerusalem, maintain their identity, maintain their legal status, etc., would face many difficulties and would face many troubles, like many Turkish tourists who were detained recently. So it's not the case. They would invite everyone to come in order to gain for themselves, in order to gain for the economy, for the legal recognition, but at the end, they would be very selective in their policy.
Emel, why is this issue, and why is it so important for Turkey and Turkey's government to engage and have Muslim engagement with these occupied territories?
Yeah, Palestine issue is very important for all over the world, for all Muslim, because especially the Jerusalem is the base for all three religions, Abrahamic religions, and Israel wants to keep this Jerusalem only for themselves. There are also Christians and Muslims. It is a holy place for all three religions. That's why it is important for us. And all one nation called Palestinian are tortured for more than 100 years there. Their land is occupied and they had to flee all over the world. This is injustice and it happens in the eye of the world. And
Hassan was one of them.
Yeah, Hassan is one of them. And they live just like an open air jail. This is injustice. We want to support them. United Nations has also declared 29th of November in 1977 the day of supporting the Palestinian, solidarity for the Palestinian.
And this is all happening after the US President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Israel. He left it ambiguous, east and west. He didn't say which one, but Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. I want to bring in a statement that Trump made on Thursday, this last Thursday, and he threatened to cut off aid to Palestinians if they don't agree to peace talks with Israel. Let's take a listen to that statement.
And we give them hundreds of millions of dollars in aid and support, tremendous numbers that nobody understands. That money is on the table, and that money is not going to them unless they sit down and negotiate peace.
US President Donald Trump there threatening to cut off aid to the Palestinians. What do you make of the statement, Hassan?
This is very unfortunate, but it's nothing new from the US, unfortunately. Since the very beginning of the struggle, the US has been aligned with the Israeli side. And they tried to show themselves as a neutral broker, but they were never neutral. They were never unbiased, unfortunately. So now this statement comes as a very clear and ugly blackmailing for US, foreign policy. Instead of, the US as a superpower is supposed to be pushing for peace in the Middle East. It's supposed to be turning off the fire in the Middle East. Right now, they are just fueling the Middle East struggle, fueling the Middle East conflict. Palestine has been one of the major reasons, the issue of Palestine has been one of the major reasons why the region is a mess right now. The Israeli behavior was fueling the region, was fueling the instability in the region, yet the United States, as a superpower, did not act responsibly, unfortunately.
What more can Turkey do?
Turkey has a role till now, just like a mediator. I think this is the best way to mediate between all the partners. But our heart is with Palestinian people, and we can show our solidarity with them by visiting the Jerusalem. And when the Turkish people visits there, we heard that the pressure over the Palestinian people get little bit lesser. That's why it is also important to visit the Jerusalem and show the Muslim solidarity, Muslim appearance there. And when they go there, there. There is also one complaint that Turkish visitors accommodate generally with the hotels run by Palestinian people. This is also a complaint by the Israelis. We want to support them economically by that way as well. And
But Emel, let me flip it around. Turkey,
Okay.
it seems, is in one corner. Even within the Muslim world, yes, there are countries like Pakistan, you've got Qatar, which has been supporting the Palestinian cause in earnest, they say. But then you have Egypt, you have Saudi Arabia, which are, it seems, not supporting or not as vocal, even though Egypt tabled the resolution that we saw at the United Nations. But then it became clear that the Egyptian state was trying to push the other side, or for the other side. So, Hassan, what do you make of this duality within the Muslim discourse on Jerusalem, on the occupied territories?
Unfortunately, the Muslim world, and particularly the states in the Middle East, are very vulnerable to pressure from the US and pressure from outside the region. You cannot explain the Saudi position, the Egyptian way of dealing and behavior towards Palestine except with this. There's nothing to push an Arab, a Muslim people, a Muslim state to support Israel publicly, to visit Israel secretly and then sign some agreements against the interest of people of Jerusalem, as was reported last year. They were supporting them in their efforts to change the identity of the city. They were supporting them in decreasing the Muslim population in Jerusalem. That cannot be explained.
I want to take a point of that. Recently, the Israeli Knesset passed a law paving the way for Jerusalem as a Jewish-only city. What would happen? What would be the Turkish reaction if that were to happen?
Yeah, this is. It is also just like a clarification or clearance. The nation now they want to send the all African to the African countries. They don't want.
You're
any
talking about
other
40,000 deportations
40,000
of
deportation.
African migrants who are illegally in Israel.
Yeah. Actually, they are not illegally in Israel. They are asylum seeker. It is their right to be there because there was problem in their countries.
I should clarify that Israel says are illegally in Israel.
Yeah, Israel says, but they are asylum seeker. No, actually, Israel doesn't say that they are asylum seeker. They are economic migrants. That's why they want to send them their countries back. But this is also illegal. If we look at the history, actually they faced almost the same problem in the history, Jewish people. What they have confronted in Germany, Holocaust, it was the terrible things in the history. They had, actually, we are expecting that they had to take lesson from the history, and with this understanding, they have to be more human against the other nations and against the other people, but they react in the way that how Nazis treated them. This is really...
they would disagree to this, by the way, and they would say this is a false comparison.
No, it is not. Actually, I was in Germany. I was in Auschwitz. I can understand their pain, and I'm really...
And also another thing, there is a distinction that is often made that Zionism as a ideology is one thing, and the Jewish people on the other side are the Jews living in Turkey.
That is clear. That is clear. I don't want to put all the Jewish in the same top, but I criticize that the way how Israeli government deals. This is politics, and people are different. The Turkish people who visit the Jerusalem reports that the people in Jerusalem, Jewish people, are very kind. We don't have any problem with the Jewish people, but we criticize the policy of Israeli government. We have to differentiate these two things.
Hassan, Imran, Emel, Topcua, thank you so much.